I'm still thinking that seat.
I know the seat is actually cold. It's absolutely here.
All right, welcome everybody to the Finance Committee meeting. Today is May 6th, and we are at 7:00 something. Roll call, please.
Ms. Cheney is absent. Ms. Brewer?
Here.
Mr. Fisher?
Here.
Ms. Reimer?
Here.
Mr. Michelson?
Here. All right, all members are present besides Ms. Cheney, and we did hear from her. Do we have a motion to excuse?
Motion to excuse.
Yeah, it was a motion and a second. Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, perfect. Okay, we have this agenda that we would like to pass with one addition. As in council, we brought, this, you brought it up, right?
I did.
What?
I did.
Yeah, brought up that, a discussion regarding the yoga teacher and if we have money and where that money will come from to pay her. So we'll bring that discussion up in new business. Do I have I put forth a motion to adopt the agenda?
Second. Please. Don't you also need to add the two things that we had on the executive memo? Oh, wait,
He ran away yet.
Huh?
Rob ran away. Correct. Well, also those two,
Resolution 2024-7, I think was the one,
yeah,
right?
7 and 5.
It was.
You just closed all of them.
I know. So it's ordinance number 2024-3. That's the appropriations one. And it is resolution 2024-7. That is a 7 mil renewal.
All right. I'll find it by then.
Wait, 2024,
-7?
I thought the mill was the 5.
The stuff from the auditor yet, have I?
Well,
No,
that's
no.
The
confusing.
mill is 6, right? Number 6?
Not on my memo, it's number 7.
The one you emailed me is this, right?
Resolution 2024-7, a resolution providing the submission to the electorate of 7.00 mil renewal property taxes.
So on 2024-7, we are still waiting a response from the auditor on the certification.
Yeah,
that we
that's in
sent in.
process.
So
At
how many
the last
renewals
council
do we have?
meeting.
Just the
That's
one.
what
Just
we're
one.
passing.
That whole
It's the
time?
same one. We're always talking about one.
Yeah.
7 mil renewal. So the county has received our votes, this thing, the council certification of, right, to request the renewal. We have yet to hear back from them, but being that the county,
So this is the.
being that the county was like a month late on already some significant items, I'm assuming that this will be by an agenda item on the next finance for the mill, 7 mil renewal.
Yeah.
That would be my hope.
Okay, so what is 6 and what is this one?
So this is,
Oh, this is the purchase.
this is actually the purchase of the police vehicle. This is a,
This we already approved last.
right, this was approved last
It's just
time.
signing it.
No, it's signed.
It has to be signed by council.
By council, but it was not brought to council. I don't know why it's brought.
So that is just a heads up that needs to be discussed for purchase of the police vehicle.
We
Right,
already
we already approved it.
I think this is similar to what the last, again, this was, I thought, brought to executive, that there was discussion, not that there was going to be discussion about this, but that you,
It went to finance and we approved it.
okay.
It went up to council. Last council meeting, I asked why wasn't the resolution written? And
Oh, so
he
this is
he
him
wrote the
telling us that it's
resolution.
written, okay.
Here it is, take a look at it.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
resolution.
so there will be, well, okay, we'll get there. The servitude.
And I believe, I don't know if you all saw this, 2024-7 on the legislative memo to executive is actually 2024-6 in the packet that we got at last council. So he's got that incorrect. This 2024-7 is this around the,
Competitive bidding.
yeah, the police vehicle.
Right, that's because this came first. So the tax one will have to be pushed back until they give it to us.
But
That
the
would
number-
make sense why he probably changed the number here and not there, because this would have been done first.
But just for your notes, we're referencing 7
Okay.
and 7 has 2 different titles.
Yeah,
Or 2 different
so you,
things.
okay, so
I don't know how you're gonna rectify that, but just so you know.
I'm probably just gonna leave it out because we didn't touch this and we're not touching that. So I'm just not gonna put in 2024-7, if that's okay with everybody.
Sure.
Okay. I'm asking you now instead of emailing later, so.
All right, so I have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
We have a motion.
Yeah, there's a motion to adopt by Mr. Fisher, a second by Mr. Michelson.
All right, we have a motion, I put forth a motion to approve the minutes from our previous meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, who's the motion by there?
Me.
Mr. Fisher, and second by?
Charlotte.
That's what my name is.
I have to look better in blue anyway, it's perfect.
Okay.
All right.
He was a little more feisty now that he's sitting on this side.
All right, moving right on to let Eric clear his voice a little bit and share with us his financial package.
Alrighty. Would you prefer the announcer voice or, this is the,
Whatever voice speaks fast.
it's not a joke.
Not the podcaster voice.
It looks like the, okay, alright. What's going on? No, we're good. I went to the wrong folder, so give me 1 second. Okay. Oh, that's why. Okay. Yeah,
You're good.
confused. I'm like, we're in May. I'm not
His
used to being 2
resolution
months.
numbers are the same.
No, I'm not used to being behind 2 months. I mean, we're not behind 2 months, but
It's 'cause
we're in
I'm
May.
not sitting there.
Normally we would be doing
Less
April.
than-
Okay, and here we go. Okay, for the month of March fiscal year 24, the village had a combined bank balance of $2,016,840. It's $16,842.80. Of this amount, $105,823.32 can be found in the village's primary checking account, and $271,759.45 can be found in the village's high interest savings account. The remaining balances reside in other village dedicated funds. The village generated $63,220.58 in general fund income tax receipts. RETA collection surpassed March of the previous year by almost 9%. I will say that again. RETA collection surpassed March of the previous year by almost 9%. Really, really spectacular. For the year, the village has collected $219,359.29 in general fund income tax receipts. Is approximately 11% higher than the year-to-date fiscal year 23. These numbers, every year we say this, how happy we are that we went to RETA. Every year we say this. Our receipts have gone up every year, and the cost to the village is half the price of, is a third of a price of a full-time employee. It's just, you go to other municipalities where they're paying 2, 3 full-time employees to do the income taxes. They're not seeing receipts like we're seeing.
That's great.
It really is. The village has not received the first biannual disbursement of real estate taxes from Hamilton County Auditor as of publishing this. However, I can report it has been received. Thank God. As for receipts, the village received $132,876.39 in general fund receipts. This number is $485,550.51 less than March of fiscal year 23 due to not receiving real estate taxes from the county. Again, no longer true. The DEA program received $33,575.97 in March of 24. The STAR Fund earned interest in the amount of $7,360.48. The high interest Fifth Third Savings Account earned a modest $1,333.01. Again, that's because the whole purpose of the savings account is so that when we deplete our main bank account, and though it is continually being replenished by RETA every month, it's not enough. We need the county funds. So we have a certain amount of the county funds that sit in this savings account. It gets depleted a little bit every month, and then we get a nice big infusion. So when we get to the April report for next month, you will see these numbers just
It went back.
Totally,
Up, you were
yeah.
able to replenish that.
went back to normal.
Have we seen and I can ask this question later, the interest rate on that account go down recently, or is it stayed the
It's
same?
negligible. It's 5.23 as of 5 days ago.
Okay.
So, top five pays for the month of payroll, Rumpy Container, Iowa Police and Fire, the Jefferson Health Plan, and Environmental Solutions and Innovations. Total village general fund appropriation spend for the month was in the amount of $226,250.18. This figure is $62,960.65 less than March of fiscal year 23, significantly due to the general fund January through March fiscal year 23 paying for fire service instead of the fire levy. So in short, during the overlap when not the overlap, after LMFR left, but before we received the first infusion of real estate tax dollars, so there was 3 months where the village was paying for fire service straight out of the general fund. So that was significant spend that was happening every month that stopped obviously by April of that year. And so for January, February, March, that figure is significantly higher in 23, lower in 24. The village had 12 outstanding payments that totaled $7,900.33. The village administration will continue to monitor appropriation spend and make any adjustments deemed necessary. Any questions?
Have you received payments from the Council on Aging for the workshop that was completed today?
No, still looking for those. Yeah. And it's not an issue of, meaning if it's from the county, it's not an issue if they don't have our bank account. Like, they have our information.
I think it might be like the person has to actually submit it to the Council on Aging, and I'm not, that might be where the cog is. Okay, I'll follow up.
Yeah, there's a lot of those kinds of things when it comes to public funds transferring to us. We're seeing that with DA programs, for instance, a bunch of items that should be clearing that are not.
Gotcha.
So I totally understand. Any other questions?
Nope, on April.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully we'll have that. That'll be beautiful when we get there. Okay.
Thank you. So April's not.
April's not this month. I'll have April next month. We're always, that's why I got confused. I was looking at March and I was like, wait, we're in May.
Yeah.
It's just, because of the way that our schedule is, that we're the first Monday, close of business was 4 days ago. It was 3 business days ago. So I only get the statements on like the Thursday. And though I'm doing the bank rec kind of concurrently through the month, I was on vacation for a week and a half. It's Passover, sir. There was Passover vacation, okay?
Anyway, let's go further. So thank you for the report. There is an idea if we're gonna wanna move it to the second Monday, our meetings, just that we can get this instead of being full month both. Like now half the information you said, well, totally secret, it's already here. It's not on my report. It
is sounding like, because we had to come up in our last meeting too, our last council meeting, where we may want to take a look at the calendar, because I think community engagement also has some issues with the schedule as it stands because of overlapping people wanting to do the workshops that we're offering and then being in conflict with our meeting times. All of this to say that it sounds like in our next council meeting, we need to put on the agenda discussing our schedule as it is and make adjustments based off of what we know now.
Perhaps you and David can work together, since David's gonna come up with a proposal for the summer schedule.
I'm happy to
506, section 506.
I
You all should
committed to
have
nothing.
coffee and redo that calendar, and I will happily vote on it.
All right, next, police vehicle purchase legislation discussion. I think that was the discussion we had last time, and that was this.
Yes, that was
That
this.
piece.
That's all that is.
So, we already discussed and we already decided on that. We had discussions that we're gonna go ahead with one purchase and we were talking about the second one, but so far that is tabled for the second vehicle. I will bring it up when it comes up again. The next discussion we have, and I see someone sitting in the back of the room that probably wants to voice his opinion on this, with the service vehicle purchase discussion is, it sounds like they want a new vehicle, right? Obviously, I also want a new vehicle. Right?
Of course. Did you guys get the bids?
Nope.
So first, just to clarify, like you could have either the administration, someone from administration clarify this. We spoke about this last time of that they figure out where the vehicle is up to and if it's safe to be driven and to be used, or is it time to retire? And based on the points, the administration has found that it is time to replace the vehicle.
Correct, so that's, you'll see in your packet, I'm sorry, I should have brought the specific example, but the vehicle replacement policy, which was implemented last year in February, has a points system, which, I mean, this is all based on the American Public Works Association handbook. This is an industry standard throughout government entities, throughout public entities of, what is considered a useful life of a vehicle. Anything that deals with salt gets an automatic 5 points, I believe. It gets a point for every year, and it gets a point for every 250 hours.
Yep.
You guys everyone will probably remember our discussion about police vehicles. I think it goes back a couple months when we found out that one of our vehicles is running on about 30,000 hours, which is like over 100 points. Now, mind you, the vehicle is still running, but it is one of our more expensive vehicles to maintain at current. The service truck does not have that long list of repairs, because my understanding is that it has been maintained significantly. But just from my own eyes, seeing the amount of rust on the front shocks, and Jim can talk about it much more than I can. But considering that it's a salt, it's a vehicle which deals with salt, and at its age, according to the American Public Works Association, my understanding is that this is past its useful life. I don't remember how many points it scored.
Well, it scored 26 points, but on the threshold rating, the threshold for a vehicle is 10 years, and we're past 10 years.
Right.
So do we go by the
In English,
threshold?
that means is that it's still under the American Association, or whatever you said over there.
Wait, it's 10 years or 12 years?
It says that it's in the good, still okay. In between 29 and 33 means good.
It's 10
Oh,
years.
it's very good. It's 26.
Okay.
So
that
26
was-
should be good.
Yeah, if it's a heavy duty, which is over 2 tons, it's 12 years.
Okay,
So that's a 2-ton. Actually, it's a 1.5 tons, it's an F450,
but that was in 2014,
13.
so it's an 11-year-old truck.
Correct.
Okay, so next year is when it would be 12 years old.
Correct.
Okay,
So it's still rating excellent, and it's not quite at its lifetime. Next year would be when it hits its life expectancy, correct?
No.
For this year, 10 years. It's a
I thought we said it's
2013.
12.
No. It's 12. The threshold for a heavy duty truck was a 2-ton or over is 12 years. This is an F450, so it's a 1.5 tons, so it's a 10-year.
Eric, could you possibly send out that, I thought I had it, but I need the schedule of all the cars where you had put those service, admin, and police? That would be super helpful. You gave us the policy in the packet, but that's the piece I'm missing, so I can keep track of everything.
okay.
You don't have to do it.
I was gonna say, I'll
That would be very
I'll have
helpful.
to pull that out
Yeah.
for the next meeting,
Yeah.
in 2 meetings.
That would be
yeah.
helpful. 'cause
Okay, no problem. Let me write myself a note.
Thank you.
And besides for the fact that it's 10 years old, is it making issues? Is it working? Is it not working?
Oh, it works, but it's starting to get issues. We had to buy a bunch of rust inhibitor and coat like a sealer to treat some of the rust. There's a clutch on the hydraulic pump that needs to be replaced. There's some hydraulic lines that if we kept would have to be replaced. We had put some new springs on the plow. So it's starting to get to where it's gonna nickel and dime us. And then you weigh, whether do you run it till it drops and it has no resale value, or do you replace it at the 10-year mark, 11-year mark, where you can still get 20,000 for it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I remember, isn't this the vehicle that was a preferred vehicle, even though I remember you giving us an example on that sheet of like, hey, this one's actually getting up there, but it's still a preferred vehicle.
That was
for
the
service.
police vehicle 216.
I think there was one in the service department too. No?
I mean, Jim would be the one to ask that question to. I don't really know the.
Yeah, and just any truck that you plow with wreaks havoc on the frames
Yeah.
and suspensions.
Makes sense. Is this in the budget?
Yes,
It's in the budget for this quote?
yes.
Did you get a quote on the resale value?
No, none of these, there's no trade-in value.
It goes to the auction.
It
I
would
mean,
go
the
to the
last, so how much did the last, it was an F1, it was an F-250 single cab, right? How much did that go for? It was about $10,000 and that was,
Yeah,
Was that the Yellow Beast?
no,
no, this was just the pickup truck it wasn't a dump truck, it was a pickup truck. This is the last one that we,
So we got 5,000 for the 15-year-old yellow dump truck. And that was 4 years ago, I think.
yeah. I would, if I had to guess, 20,000.
You want to bid on it? No, I'm kidding. Okay. I mean, my biggest question is it in the budget?
yes, this, I mean, this is,
It was.
This
We
is
planned
part
for
of
this, it
the-
sounds like.
so there's a specific line item that was required to be created based on the permissive motor vehicle license fund,
Yeah.
which every time you go to register your car, you pay a certain amount and that goes actually to the village.
Yep.
And so that, the way that I built the budget is that purchases like this can be earmarked, but there are only specific things that can be used for. So this is kind of the state's tax on our residents, which kind of helps us buy stuff like this and it doesn't hurt our general fund. This is not paid for out of the general fund at all.
Right.
So that's.
And this is,
plus.
so when we're talking about the budget, I remember the police also had wanted to replace 2 vehicles this year. We're talking different line items in the budget when we're talking about this, correct?
Well, that's, yeah, I mean, police vehicle purchases come out of the general fund. This is coming out of the road, well, this is coming out of the permissive motor
Right.
vehicle license fund.
Right. Okay. All right.
All these different restricted funds is lots of fun to keep
And
track of.
what will be the payment plan on these?
So the amortization schedule, it would pay out over 4 years and it would be about $33,000 a year. So it would be through US Bank. The interest rate, I believe, was 6.7. Please don't quote me on it. It's in the sixes, which is, I mean, still competitive. We've worked with US Bank in the past. We've done other, and because it's a Ford, we can technically do it through Ford, but it's a lot higher interest and we have to pay a lot more upfront. So it made more sense to go with US Bank on this one. Just from experience, most of the purchases that we have done in the past have been through US Bank. And the one that we did recently through Ford was less streamlined, we'll say it like that. So this seems to me the easiest way to finance it.
There's no government.
This is through government. Let me see if I can have it right here. I can share this with everyone after the meeting. It's probably easier because my search is still kind of wonky.
And then the other question, which I'm realizing I'm asking you questions while you're looking at the answer, but I'm gonna do it.
You're fine.
You've got a quote on here for 56,000, but then your purchase agreement is 63. What's the difference?
There's 2 different
No,
vendors.
No, it's two, yeah, it's two
Oh, I
quotes.
see.
It's-
So you buy the chassis, which is the cab and the chassis, and then it goes to River City, which is the second quote, and they do the plow, the dump on it, the salt spreader, all the,
Got it. This is all the toys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I sent to your email the amortization schedule, and that'll be, I mean, that's all fine, but it's the payments are $27.9935 per month. It's a 48-month term. The interest rate is 5.7, not 6.7. That was,
And the total amount that we're taking,
is $119,898. That's those 2 quotes
these
together.
2 quotes together.
Correct.
Yep.
And again, the way that you depreciate CapEx expenses over time is that you take the expected useful life, which we see by our current truck, it was a 1.5 ton truck, it's a 10-year useful life. If whatever the purchase price of that is, so you break it out over the 10 years. So in this case, we would break it out over 12 years because it's a two-ton truck, is that correct?
Well, we're also getting a stainless steel dump, which is gonna last longer than regular steel.
So certainly we'll get those extra 2 years, but we would just take that $120,000 prorated over those 2 years, those 12 years, comes out to a cost of ownership of $10,000 plus maintenance. And that's pretty standard way of depreciating the CapEx. You're looking at 33, obviously the payments are much more upfront, but you start extending it past 4 years, you're paying a lot of interest. But it's not that much.
14,000 change.
Again, the eventual goal is to never have to pay for things like this in interest, but this was a recently, this permissive motor vehicle license fund was never actually something that we had before. It was something that audit made us create, and I said, oh, that's a really good way for us to be able to purchase vehicles and then get in the habit of having this as part of our replacement.
The money that we get from selling the former vehicle at auction, where does that go back in the budget?
I believe that goes to general fund, but I don't know what funds were used to purchase that vehicle. That's a good question. We can certainly look up
It'd be nice if we could put it back into the
into
same
those
system.
payments.
Yeah.
But again, those are earmarked funds, so it really would be better if we could put it in the general fund, because that's money that we're already getting from the state, and after the 4th year, that money will still be budgeted and still be restricted. Likely that would go towards the purchase of another truck.
Does that money go towards repairs? Is that money allowable for repairs or anything like that? That maybe this hopeful $20,000 could be set aside to cover any sort of repairs for this vehicle in the future?
Oh, of course, but you're saying the permissive motor vehicle license fund? Yeah, all of that is that can be used for repair of the trucks and upkeep. Yeah, exactly. Can't be used for gas, but for maintenance and things of that nature that can be used.
But it's something like, if we put it into the general fund, it can be used for anything whatsoever.
Including those things if
Including
we
those
needed to.
maintenance
Correct.
things, yeah.
Always
okay.
better to go to the less restrictive fund than the more restrictive fund.
Yep. I'm good.
Jim, do you drive one of the village vehicles when you do code enforcement?
No,
I didn't think so. I saw you in the red truck and I was like, that doesn't look like one of ours.
yeah, we were trying to share the little white car with the police, and it just was easier to,
The admin car?
but I do drive these trucks when I help out.
Yeah, I've seen you in those, yeah. You've been hitting Elbrook with those sidewalk tickets, so I was like, I don't think this is one of ours.
Oh, yeah.
That was your personal.
Unrelated to the finance piece, just very, very, very briefly. Have y'all done, or I think this would be a fun thing to do, like a naming opportunity for the truck, like a community engagement type thing? Has that been done? No?
It's interesting.
Like, hey, come meet our new truck, and do you want to name it? And we
You can name a backhoe too.
fire up a cricket and slap a thing on the side,
Yeah,
like.
Bobcat, we can name them all.
Like we do touch a truck and that kind of thing. Like this might be something for
Self-advertising.
Kiddos.
What would possibly go wrong with that?
nothing, nothing at all.
I'll send you a few articles of school stories that went horribly wrong.
I'm just saying, it was an idea that was given to me. I am
Sell name
purely passing on information from her.
Paycor's dump truck.
Run that by Rob and see what he.
Well, you said like big, like busy bee or big yellow or something, or is that just like the old maintenance truck? No,
Beast.
the beast.
Oh, yeah,
beast.
we used to
Yeah.
have these very large, yellow, antiquated trucks that were
Yeah. Okay.
horrible.
So I just need a recommendation from finance to full council for the purchase of
I have
the.
a quick question.
Oh, sure, yeah.
This is a heavier truck, so it has the extra 2-year expected life.
Yeah, and we also spec in beefed up leaf springs in the rear.
Okay,
So it's
great.
a F550 with a beefed up suspension. And a stainless steel
Sure.
dump like the current 550 that we have, so.
Mhm. Awesome.
Yeah, we've kind of learned over the years how to,
Make them last.
how to assemble them.
Motion to recommend this to council.
Second.
Great.
All those in favor?
I
Aye.
same thing with the new added, discussion regarding the yoga instructor. So just to refresh my memory, you said that it's gonna cost $1,200 for the yoga? What were you saying?
Her fee is $750. It would encompass 10 classes. And $75 is about the going rate for a traveling yoga instructor that is offering a free class, because it's, you're not guaranteeing funds made off of like enrollment, like paying for the classes. So all of that to say, $750 is a reasonable amount given like current market conditions for yoga instructors.
Take care, Jim.
And previously, what had happened last year is we had a grant from We Thrive. That grant is not available this year, so this would be coming out of pocket for us. There are a couple of things with this to kind of keep in mind, is that there is about $600 in the recreation fund at the moment. We are expecting an additional $300 or $400 from the Council on Aging for the Tai Chi completers. We will also get, I believe it's another $50 per completer for the balance workshop. And then if we repeat the Tai Chi class, like there's that opportunity for funds to continue to come in. And then also it's on the agenda for recreation and community engagement, where we have been talking about like fundraising opportunities to get money into that recreation fund. And so I would anticipate at least one fundraising event happening before the end of the year. One known being that we were invited by PFLAG to work with them at Oktoberfest and man a beer booth and share the tips there. So that will also be incoming funds. I don't have an estimate, but all of that to say, there would be more than enough money to cover this.
And when would we be hoping the classes would start?
They would start the beginning of June. So like June 8th, I
month or
believe.
so.
Yeah.
So 10 weeks, early June.
10 weeks. So we have 9 dates on the calendar, and then for that 10th date, so that we can make sure that we get what we are paying for. That 10th date would be a weeknight class that she would offer probably sometime in September, so that we can kind of do a test run to see if there is an appetite within the community for an evening yoga class in the fall and winter.
I'm sorry, I missed it. What time and days would the typical class be on?
So the summer yoga series would be Saturdays. It'd be every other Saturday. I think previously it was at like 10 a.m., but we're still finalizing the time with the teacher. So it'd probably be like 11 or 12. Maybe it could be anywhere from 10 a.m. to noon. Sorry. And then there's a community component where she wants to, we are going to have them in the community hall based off of just weather and heat and just overwhelming requests from community members that took the classes. And she and Jackie, who's the teacher, also likes the idea of kind of fostering community beforehand. So, brewing coffee or having snacks and just having, discussion and then moving into the class. So kind of achieving a lot of things with one event on Saturdays.
Go ahead.
All right, I know there had been discussion before about kind of the upper limit on participants and whether there was specific focus on this being like senior friendly. There was discussion around that with respect to who would be teaching it and everything. So I was curious about that. My dad's like turning 80 and really likes yoga. I'm just wondering, is this something that would be
Yeah.
safe?
Is it a finance related question or a
Oh,
or a community
you were-
engagement? Yeah.
Sorry, it's related to the topic of are we getting funds for a specific teacher?
Yeah.
So I was wondering about the specific teacher.
Yeah, so her classes are all levels. So she will modify however is needed. So somebody wants to come in and do chair yoga, they can do that. And that's not specific to the teacher. That is just how yoga is in general. It can be modified to meet people where they are.
apologize for taking the time, I knew that I'd come up and pass it.
I was the youngest person last summer, so
I'll be going because I'll be inside.
I'll still be the youngest person.
Did you get that on record, Eric?
What was that?
Yeah.
Couldn't hear you. I don't get engaged in such conversations.
All right,
The
now,
minutes.
for you, Eric. All right, let's hear from you, your perspective on this, on how you think this fits in the budget.
So what I'm understanding is that there's $400 pending from the county for council on aging, right? There is 70, so the current rec fund is $757.96. So this would fully deplete that fund. It's just whatever funds are going to be used for whatever events, that has to come from somewhere. So if there are more events that council wants to spend money on, whatever is raised can be spent. And it's that simple. Anything other than that has to come from the reserve or has to come from somewhere else in the general fund currently, which.
So the big question out there is whether the village will need funds for Juneteenth, correct? Like, because I know we're talking about the beer and that, because there's nothing else that's pending for community engagement with these funds, correct? Is there something I'm missing?
Other than Juneteenth, there's,
Yes.
and I think that's where the difference is between the report that we just reviewed is that $125 that somebody, a resident deposited for Juneteenth.
That would make sense that this is,
And I've got another
this is the
25.
most up-to-date number.
And then what about any cost for 4th of July? For the picnic?
I don't have that data at this time because we haven't discussed it yet.
Do you have any sense of what the village normally pays for 4th of July?
I believe it was in the realm of $400.
Okay.
Do you remember how much it was last year?
I think it was
500? Might have been 500. There's a lot of volunteers that,
2 years ago, it was 125.
from the village. Well, that's because there was a lot of,
There was
a lot of donations there
Donations.
that seemingly will not repeat. Approximate cost of that was
500 for 4th of July.
Yeah.
Roughly.
And that was all food, right? Was there anything else in there?
Waters, maybe?
I'm just food and drink, I'm putting
Oh.
in, yeah.
I can't think of anything else. The
I don't
circus
think there's
donates
anything
their
else.
entertainment.
Yeah, no, the donation was
Don't pay for the
entertainment.
parade,
The-
outside of staff
The
time.
entertainment was donated. Yeah, similar to like Juneteenth, sound system and all that was taken care of by Mr. Knepp, which again, I don't know that anyone's had any discussions with him.
We've got it figured out for Juneteenth. I
No, I'm
believe.
talking about
Oh.
the 4th of July.
Yeah, that I don't know, but I'm sure we can.
I don't know that any conversations have happened there.
Just want to remind you, there's usually extra expense related to the kosher aspect of preparing food for the use of the.
So was there a fee?
There was
There was a fee to the synagogue for the use of their kitchen, I think.
rental
Is
of
that
the
correct?
grill, and I think we had to pay.
That was 2 years ago, was the rental of the grill? Did we do that last year? Because I don't remember what, I'd have to look at that. We haven't looked at that. Anyway, I can easily look all that up.
I think that 2 years ago, the food was donated, the only thing that we had to pay was the rent.
And those are all coming out of recreation. Those have all historically come out of recreation.
Yes.
Okay.
So we got like $700 in there. I've got another 25 in my purse for you. And then we've got, you said, we would assume for the balance class, another 300, plus another 400 that we're waiting on for something else, the cooking class.
Mhm.
So there's another 700 in theory.
No, the cooking class is not through Council on Aging. That's through OSU Extension, so that would not.
So you've got a $400 deposit that we assume is waiting, correct? And then you've got another 300 coming from someone else, right?
Yeah, so we are,
So another 700.
Yep.
In theory, so another 1,400 is what we would have in there before 4th of July.
mhm.
Okay. My gut says yes. I've heard a lot of positive feedback about this.
No, I think it's something that's important also,
Yeah,
and the sound coming from from you is that you'll be working on getting more funds into the fund, and the more we spend the funds, the more you'll have an interest in getting more funds and donations. I think that it's something worthwhile investing into.
I agree. Because you've got plans for other ways that money is coming in.
Yeah.
And I feel,
And I do think that we should definitely reach out to those people that do it in the past, or other means to help with the July 4th also. There's no reason we shouldn't.
I would say too, for anybody who has paid attention to any of the community engagement meetings, we have talked about it being self-financed every time. So, yeah.
It's coming, that it's
Yeah.
gonna be that way. I think that it's worthwhile, jumping into this and going forth, and then as the year goes along, we'll see how we could, adopt everything and what should we, but I think this is worthwhile. You have an opinion of that?
Not particularly my general opinion on anything, as long as there's funds available for it. If members of our community want to use the funds set aside for them to do things in the community together, why not?
If I may, the reason to have a reserve is to be able to give us opportunity to do things in the future. And if we believe that community engagement component is important to us, I think that's also a reason for council looking at whether or not we want to appropriate funds from the reserve for recreation. So and I think as we build the budget for next year, we need to have an idea of what kind of a number needs to go in that fund that the village funds, and then look at supplementing it with whatever fundraising opportunities we do after that.
I'd love to honestly see the car part of that to go to recreation so that we're not relying on donors for 4th of July to ensure it's kosher so that we can actually pay that bill, you know? I think I agree with you. I'd love to put some money into recreation and see what we can actually do with that. And, pay for postage for the newsletter to be mailed out so that we're not relying on volunteers. Bringing some of those actual organizational expenses back into the village.
Yeah.
So then we actually have an accurate idea of what it costs to do true community engagement so that you can build a better budget, Eric. And when we don't have it, we can't use it, but when we do, we've got it.
Yeah,
And I think in the next few months, we will have a much clearer picture, with a lot more voices added to it than just, the 5 members of community engagement at the moment, to be able to kind of build out a hypothetical budget of like, okay, here's what that calendar would look like for the next 6 months, or even looking ahead to 2025, of just so that we have the time to plan these events, but then also where can we fit in fundraising opportunities and so on. That would be an easy document to put together, because literally on the agenda for Thursday, especially with the rec commission, is, okay, we've got basically a blank slate. How do we want to do this? How do we want to move this forward? And having, whether it's a fundraising chair that is working on this component, so that we are making it a more, so that we, the appetite is there for people to have community engagement, and now it's just, building off of that momentum to get some money in the door for it.
I'd be hesitant to, like Ron suggested, move money from the reserves into community engagement, just from a fiscal perspective, I don't like touching the reserve for non-emergency type of reasons. So I do like Brittany's idea of setting aside a portion. I don't know the whole scope of what any plans were for that money, but setting aside a portion of those potential funds from the sale of the vehicle, a portion of it going to, the recreation, so that we don't have to pull from reserve. We can kind of pull from this, it's not income, but, some of our other assets.
Right, sorry for interrupting, because you don't have plans for it, because we don't know the dollar amount that car is going to sell for at auction, so there's no plans for it in the revenue side, correct?
I mean, again, when I asked Jim, what do you think you can get for this car? He says $20,000. That was something that we discussed when we built the budget for '24. So-
You did have it in
Oh, it
there.
was.
So
in the-
$20,000 is
Earmarked
expected,
already.
but anything, but you're correct. If it sells for 25, there's no reason why that extra $5,000 can't go towards something like recreation.
Yeah, so maybe anything above the
Yeah.
budgeted
Exactly.
expected income
Yeah.
or
Exactly.
asset.
And then, and 2 points to that, so yes, I love that anything beyond what you were anticipating or what you budgeted for could go to recreation. And, we haven't even talked about asking for sponsorships from our local businesses, like that was an idea, that was something that we had talked about when we were discussing mailing out the newsletters or anything in general, like we haven't done that with our businesses in a while. And then secondly, the other thing that's come up in terms of, what do we have that we could sell is we have all of that equipment that's in the gymnasium right now that we had talked about potentially putting up for auction.
My understanding is a lot of it is personal, or at least a large portion.
That was
Yeah.
what we discussed, but
Yeah.
someone has to come up with a list.
Yeah,
Yes, we asked
but if it's-
somebody to direct
The
it off.
chief, if you could get more information on it.
yeah, but if it's whatever isn't, right? Like,
Well, and also setting a date if you don't pick it up by this time,
yeah,
because from my understanding, things have been in there for years as well.
Right. So we have to find out where it came from. Someone's donated the questions, what we can do with donated stuff.
Mhm.
That is definitely, but I think the momentum is that there should be money available for community engagement, and we should allow this to happen and see how the course goes and how the donations start rolling in. And once we have more of a solid plan, then we can discuss where money's coming from, if money should come, or where we could get more revenue in, if we put ads on to those newsletters, if we're allowed to, from local businesses and things like that, to come into community engagement. I think that's the right approach. So I do feel that we should push this forward, put this on next council meeting to allow the money to go for the yoga classes. So therefore I'm making a motion to, how do we say this? Make a motion
To refer to council.
To authorize a payment,
to authorize a payment or at least a contract with the yoga instructor for the yoga classes.
Second.
All those in favor?
aye.
Roll call, okay, just to make sure everybody's said.
You want to roll call? Want this thing to be longer?
All right, next
Taking up space.
meeting. Next meeting is June 3rd.
Can I ask a general question to the fiscal officer before we potentially adjourn?
You could try.
Just in general, when it comes to like, when you said that you talked with Jim and the sale of this vehicle, you kind of anticipated and budgeted that those funds into the budget.
Yes.
Is there any discussion of moving away from that and having our budget not contingent on possible potential future sales of an asset that may or may not be in existence at the time?
I mean,
Because the vehicle could get in an accident, can get totaled.
we have insurance.
Okay, but who?
These are.
Yeah, it's just a
standard
general
practice.
question.
It's a standard practice. It goes into the general fund miscellaneous line item, the infamous miscellaneous, which we don't know. And basically,
Yeah.
I don't look at that as saying like, oh, this is money that we are guaranteed. It's historically, we have a certain amount of money. There are a lot of unexpected, there are BWC refunds that we weren't expected. So you're correct. But again, when giving a general estimation of what the budget's going to be, I have to have some historic data to put in there. And then even like the source of the money, like I said, so once I can confirm what money was used to purchase that vehicle, right? So without that, I assume that it's gonna go into the general fund until I have reason to restrict it.
Sure,
But
all I
that's
was
the-
saying, just in the theme of fiscal, whatever responsibility, just like, I don't know, I just think it's a good idea to just have the monies for the budget either confirmed or guaranteed or there than not. It's just an idea.
You're
We don't
correct.
need to
No, you're
discuss
correct.
this now, it's
You're
just a thought I
correct.
had.
You're correct. I just, again, it's a balance that I play with the auditor.
Sure.
When I underestimate budget receipts and they say, oh, how come your receipts are so much higher? Because we don't update based on the sale or the expected, right, revenues that we know that we're gonna have, we just don't know where they're gonna come from. So that's where that comes from, but I hear the point. I mean,
Yeah.
there's,
Just a general.
that's why I try and be as conservative as possible when I actually put that estimate. I don't put in $45,000 for the sale of the
Yeah.
car. I'm expecting 20 because he's saying, oh, I'd probably get 20. And I know
Yeah,
he's
this is,
being, you know, I
this is
know
an area
he's
I'm
being-
not super knowledgeable in, so I'd love to meet with you
It's a
sometime
delicate
just to
balance.
learn
It-
more.
It's a delicate balance, but the point is a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All sorts of ways to do it.
All right. Our next meeting is scheduled for June 3rd. You said you're not going to be here, or you'll be on the phone.
June 3rd.
And again, I will probably not be here for that meeting.
Yeah.
Just,
I can call in, but I will not.
I'll probably be in a hospital gown.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can
so
call
his wife
in.
recently noticed your friend. All right, motion to adjourn. I put forth-
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Clear.